All right, everyone, buckle up because we are diving deep into something that's got me kind of obsessed. Yin and Yang. But get this, not the ancient philosophy stuff, though that's cool too, but how this yin and yang thing might actually be playing out in our lives, like through physics and energy.
It's a wild thought, right? This lecture we're looking at today, it's like bridging ancient wisdom with cutting-edge physics. It's saying maybe we're about to totally change how we see relationships, success, even just like reality itself.
It's like almost like a guidebook to hacking the universe, but instead of code, it's all about energy, right?
Okay.
The lecture starts off saying, our thoughts, they're not just in our heads, they make this field, this intention thing that shapes our world.
And here's where the whole electromagnetism thing comes in. At their root, our thoughts and emotions, they're giving off these frequencies, and those frequencies, they pull in similar vibes.
Hold on, are we talking about like the law of attraction here? Are we just walking magnets for experiences that match our energy?
It's a very interesting idea, and this lecture seems to say this whole like attracts like thing. It's not just some new age idea. It might be a basic law of the universe, like baked into physics.
But here's the thing, right? We've got a world running on quantum mechanics, like our phones, everything, but most of us, we're still living with this old school Newtonian physics mindset. How does that even work?
Exactly. Our understanding is lagging behind what we know is possible. The lecture uses the double slit experiment to show this. It's like quantum mechanics 101.
Right, the experiment where they shoot electrons and they act like both particles A and D waves. It's like the universe is playing tricks on us.
And it gets even wilder. Just by watching, by observing, we change the outcome. Like, consciousness itself is part of shaping reality.
Whoa. So we're not just watching the game, we're players on the field.
Yeah.
And it gets even weirder when they talk about quantum entanglement.
Right. Quantum entanglement, where two linked particles, even light years apart, they instantly affect each other without anything traveling between them.
It's like this secret web, totally breaking the rules of time and space. The lecture even connects this to non-local communication, like connections beyond what we understand about distance.
If you zoom out, it's like the universe is way more complex, way more connected than we thought.
Makes you wonder what else we're missing, right?
Yeah.
And then the lecture goes on about how energy and information are all tangled up, even bringing in Einstein's EMECA, like energy and matter, two sides of the same coin.
Which leads to this wild thought. Everything around us, a chair, a person, it's not just atoms, it's a whole field of energy and information. Like everything's got a hidden blueprint.
That's incredible. But the catch is, we don't know how to tap into all that information yet.
Makes you think, what if by just focusing on the physical stuff, we're missing a whole layer of understanding?
This is blowing my mind.
Yeah.
But how does yin and yang fit into all this?
That's where it gets really interesting. The lecture takes this quantum leap, right, and applies it to relationships using this lens of yin and yang, those opposite but totally balanced forces.
Right, like two halves of a whole. So how does this ancient idea work with modern physics?
It says that relationships, just like everything else, are all about energy. We've each got our own electromagnetic frequency, our own yin-yang balance, and that plays a huge role in how we interact.
So finding a partner who vibes with our energy, our own yin and yang, that's the key to a successful relationship. Is that why some couples just click?
It's a fascinating thought. Maybe lasting love isn't just shared hobbies, but this harmony between two energy fields, like a dance.
That's a cool way to put it. Those couples that are totally in sync, maybe they literally are on the same wavelength.
And it goes beyond romance, too. This yin and yang thing, it applies to business partners, family, even global stuff.
So understanding this energy dance is important, whether it's finding a soulmate or building a team.
That's what it's suggesting, yeah, seeing this play of opposite but complementary forces in every part of life.
This is all so fascinating, but it seems really complex. How do we even use this in our lives?
That's the million-dollar question. While the lecture doesn't give us a step-by-step, it does give us some clues. Like, remember how it emphasized intention? Our thoughts and beliefs might actually be powerful enough to shape our reality.
Right. It's like the universe is this giant mirror, just reflecting back whatever we put out, whether we realize it or not.
Exactly. That's where the ancient wisdom of yin and yang comes in. It's about understanding the natural flow of energy, being more intentional.
So instead of feeling powerless, we can be more deliberate, more purposeful in our lives.
Absolutely. Recognizing we're not just shaped by our environment, but we're actively creating our reality.
That is incredibly empowering. But how does this creation thing work in a world that can feel so random and chaotic?
That's where the yin and yang principle really helps. It reminds us that life isn't about chasing some perfect, always positive state. It's about embracing that life has both, the good and bad, the ups and downs, the light and the shadows that are always there inside us and around us.
So not denying the negative, but finding a way to include it, to find balance.
Precisely. And often it's in those tough, darker times that we grow the most, that real change happens. Remember, that yin and yang symbol, it's not just two halves just sitting there. It's all about movement, this constant interplay of light and dark, growing and shrinking, pushing forward and letting go.
So how do we find that balance in our everyday lives? How do we actually shift our energy to match what we really want?
Well, the speaker had some ideas. One was mindfulness. By really tuning into our thoughts and emotions, we can start to choose where our energy goes.
So instead of being controlled by every thought and feeling,
Yeah.
we can choose to see them without judgment and then focus on something more positive, something that helps us reach our goals.
Exactly. It's like working out a muscle. The more we do this mindfulness thing, the better we get at spotting those negative thoughts and swapping them for ones that are good for us.
What about meditation? I've heard that's a good way to shift energy too.
Absolutely. The speaker talked about how meditation can quiet the mind, help us connect with our inner wisdom, and cultivate peace and clarity.
And when we're calm and centered, it's got to be easier to connect with that intentional energy we keep talking about, right?
Exactly. When we find that inner stillness, we're more likely to make choices that are truly good for us.
This is making so much sense. It's like we're learning to conduct our own energy orchestra. But there's so much to unpack here. What about creativity, intuition, and connection? How do those fit into this?
Those are great questions, and they bring us even deeper into this whole yin and yang thing and how it relates to living a really fulfilling life. But we're going to have to save those insights for the next part of our deep dive.
All right, everyone, stay with us as we keep exploring the mysteries of yin and yang and look at even more practical tools for using this amazing power to shape our lives and our world. And we're back, still diving deep, ready to get practical with this whole yin and yang thing, this energy shaping our lives.
Totally. Let's talk about how to actually use these ideas. We were talking about intention, right? How our thoughts could actually be shaping our reality.
Right, like having a superpower we didn't know about. But how do we go from just thinking about this stuff to actually using it to get results in our lives?
One of the big takeaways from the lecture was about recognizing and changing our own energy frequencies. Remember how the speaker said we each give off a unique electromagnetic frequency, like an energy signature, and it attracts similar frequencies back.
Yeah, like we're a walking radio station, sending our energy out and drawing in experiences on the same wavelength. But how do we even know what station we're attuned to?
That's where self-awareness comes in. The lecture was big on paying attention to our thoughts, emotions, beliefs. These are all energy, right? And they all add up to our overall frequency.
So if we're always thinking negative thoughts, feeling anxious, stuck in those limiting beliefs, it's like we're in tune to the negativity station and just going to get more of the same.
Exactly. But think about it. If we can cultivate a more positive mindset, be more optimistic, believe in abundance, we naturally raise our energy and attract more positive stuff, experiences, relationships, opportunities, the whole shebang.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But it's easier said than done, right?
Yeah.
Life gets messy. How do we stay positive, keep our energy aligned with what we want when things get tough?
That's where the wisdom of yin and yang is super helpful. It tells us that life isn't about forcing ourselves to be positive all the time. That's not balance. That's not real. True power is about understanding that both yin and yang, the light and the shadow, are essential parts of being whole.
So it's about finding that middle ground, that flow state where we're not pretending the negative doesn't exist, but we're not letting it control us either.
Exactly. Think about those times you felt truly alive, totally in your element. What was the energy like? You were present, right? 2 feet in that moment, not dwelling on the past, not freaking out about the future.
So true. And it's usually when we're in that flow state that the good stuff just seems to happen, like magic almost.
And remember, the lecture said that magic isn't always supernatural. Maybe it's just us tapping into a deeper understanding of the natural laws we haven't figured out yet. And that's where creativity can be a game changer.
Okay, so how does creativity play into this whole energy thing?
Think of it like this. When we create painting, writing, making music, even brainstorming, we're taking energy from this universal source and giving it a form, a reality. It's a powerful way to connect with the creative energy of the universe.
So by being creative, we're actually practicing this whole yin and yang dance, taking something from the world of ideas, of potential, and making it real.
Nailed it. And that act of creation, of bringing something new into being, it naturally raises our vibration, shifts our frequency, and draws in even more of that creative energy. It's a beautiful cycle.
Wow, that is fascinating. So creativity is like the bridge between the spiritual and the material, the yin and yang.
And speaking of bridges, the lecture also talked about connection, right? Connection to ourselves, to each other, and to something bigger.
So it's not just us alone with our own energy, broadcasting on our own little frequencies. We're all part of this bigger web of energy.
Exactly. Just like that quantum entanglement thing where separate particles can affect each other instantly, we're all influencing each other with our energy all the time.
So the energy we put out there really does matter because it's not just affecting us, it's rippling out, impacting everyone, everything.
That's the idea. And this is where the speaker challenged us to think bigger than just our own desires and consider what's good for everyone. What kind of world do we want to create with our energy? What kind of future are we all calling in with our thoughts, our emotions, our actions?
That is a powerful question. It brings us right back to intention, doesn't it? If we want a world that's more harmonious, more compassionate, more joyful, then we've got to embody those qualities ourselves,
Yeah.
right? We have to become that energy.
Exactly. And that's where this whole deep dive comes full circle. It's not enough to just get these concepts in our heads. We got to live them, breathe them, make them a part of every thought, every word, every action.
It's about realizing that we're not just along for the ride in this life. We're active participants in this incredible dance of energy and creation. And it's through that dance, through the interplay of yin and yang, that we find our true potential and create a life that's truly fulfilling, truly meaningful.
And who knows, maybe as we unlock these mysteries of energy within ourselves, we'll unlock the keys to a brighter, more harmonious future for everyone.
This deep dive has been incredible, just full of amazing insights and practical tools for living life with more intention, more purpose. But we've got to pause here for a moment. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to wrap up this amazing exploration of yin and yang and the science of attraction. And we're back, deep divers. We're in the final stretch of talking about this yin and yang thing, this dance of energies, and how it actually works in our lives.
Yeah, and it's not just about like understanding it in our heads. It's about really getting it, feeling it, like we're tuning into a whole new dimension of reality.
Totally. We were saying how our thoughts and emotions have these frequencies, and aligning those with our desires, with our own definition of success, is key. But how do we actually do that? Where do we even start?
Well, the lecture was clear that it's not about forcing ourselves to be positive all the time. That's not balance, and it won't last. The real power comes from understanding that both yin and yang, the good and the bad, they're both essential.
So finding that sweet spot, that flow, where we're not pretending the negative's not there, but we're not letting it be the boss either.
Exactly. Think of those times you felt most alive, most yourself. What was the energy like then? I bet you were totally present in that moment, not stuck in the past or worried about the future.
That's so true. And it's usually when we're in that flow state that the good stuff just kind of happens almost effortlessly, like magic.
And the lecture reminded us that magic doesn't have to be supernatural. Maybe it's just us understanding more of those natural laws we haven't figured out yet. And that's where creativity can really change the game.
Okay, so how does creativity fit into all this energy stuff?
Think of it this way. When we're creating, whether it's painting, writing, making music, even just brainstorming, we're taking energy from this universal source and giving it a form in the real world. We're aligning ourselves with the universe's own creative force.
So by being creative, we're doing that yin and yang dance, right?
Right.
Taking something from the world of ideas, of potential, and making it real.
Right on. And that act of creation, of making something new, it raises our vibration, shifts our frequency, and draws even more creative energy to us. It's a beautiful thing.
That's amazing. It's like creativity is that bridge between the spiritual and the physical, the yin and the yang.
And speaking of bridges, the lecture also touched on connection, connection to ourselves, to each other, to something larger.
So we're not just these islands, all alone with our own energy, broadcasting on our own little frequencies. We're part of a larger web.
Exactly. Like with quantum entanglement, where separate particles can affect each other instantly across any distance, we're all influencing each other with our energy all the time. So the energy we put out there, it matters because it's not just us, it's everyone, everything.
That's the idea. And that's where the lecture challenged us, to think beyond just our own needs and desires. What kind of world do we want to create with our energy? What kind of future are we all bringing about with our thoughts, our emotions, our actions?
That's a powerful question. It brings us back to intention, doesn't it? If we want a world that's more harmonious, more kind, more joyful, We have to embody those things ourselves. We have to become that energy.
Exactly. And that's really what this whole conversation comes down to. It's not enough to just think about these concepts. We have to live them, breathe them, make them part of every thought, word, and deed.
It's about recognizing that we're not just along for the ride in this life. We're active participants in this incredible dance of energy and creation. And through that dance, through the interplay of yin and yang, that's how we find our true potential and create a life that truly means something.
And who knows, maybe by unlocking these mysteries of energy within ourselves, we unlock the keys to a better future for everyone.
This deep dive has been incredible. We've been through so many mind-blowing ideas and practical tools for living, with more intention, more purpose. As we wrap things up here, remember, it's not about getting to some finish line. It's about embracing the journey, trusting the process, and letting that wisdom of yin and yang guide us to become our most whole, most true selves.